Welcome everyone to another Sunday Satsang. I hope you're all doing well. As the seeking process transforms in a way that the seeking and the object of the seeking is practical now. So, in other words, what I, as the seeker, am really looking for, this has been looked into, and what is it exactly that I'm trying to achieve as the goal of this seeking, that when it was achieved, the seeking would end. So, in this framework, it is pointed again and again and again. Let's keep it practical. What is it that I am looking for? What is it that I'm seeking? And as the process becomes practical or clear in a way, because now I'm not um, blindly or ignorantly or kind of I'm not shooting arrows in the dark anymore. Whatever now happens in the process, whatever arises within and without, can be related to from the place of this pedestal of what exactly it is that I'm seeking. Once this is clear, then everything in the journey of seeking journey can be related to in regards with that the object of seeking, if that is really what I am looking for, then how do I relate with what is arising in a way that it facilitates the object of the seeking, the end of seeking in this moment with this arising? How is whatever is arising right now, let's say a conversation with someone, and if it is really clear and there is an earnestness, a choicelessness about what I'm really looking for, then that conversation and every conversation from then on is related to as serving the seeking journey. As that happens, life can be truly seen as the teacher itself. So we don't need any scriptures or books or teachers, concepts even, because life somehow is full, is loaded with insights, loaded with experiences that sometimes force us, but sometimes effortlessly just rids us of whatever is not serving. And once the object of seeking is clarified within the system, then when something arises, we're a habitual forgetting of why are we here. And if that habitual pattern happens, there's a chance of being able to catch it or see it for what it is. Do we really know why we're seeking? Do we really know what we are seeking? Or are we just following a concept that we heard or read somewhere and it sounded rosy, or it was sold as the purpose of the human birth and purpose of human life? And now, because it sounds like the right thing to do, I seem to be on an apparent path to get somewhere, to achieve a goal or a purpose that we could label as enlightenment or nirvana or God or self realization. We can give that goal these labels. And because it sounds so magical or grand, it's like, oh, this quest might be worth taking on. So is it just because of hearsay, or do we really know that we are seeking, why we're seeking, and what is it that we are seeking? What we're really seeking is not to be found out there. It won't be found in relationships. It won't be found in respect. It won't be found in money. It is not found in approval or love. It is not found in looking a certain way, behaving a certain way. It is not found in perfect health, physical health or mental health. It is not found in having energy or feeling demotivated. It is not found in the thoughts. It is not to be found in emotions. It is not to be found in the feelings. Whatever can be perceived as the content of life, as the content of experience, as me, as the other. And that other could be another person, another sentient being, another object, another job, another narrative. It won't be found in the me and in the other. And don't take my word for it. Not that we have a choice, because if our system is ingrained with following a pathway where we are looking for $1 million, let's say. So even though I may listen to something, it would even make sense. And I would change my ways where I would try and convince myself that it's not to be found in $1 million. So $10,000 is also enough. I don't have to crave or run towards getting $1 million. And yet, if the system is designed in a way that it feels called, feels inclined to wanting to work for money and make money and have $1 million, that's life. That is God's will. That is what my genes and up-to-date conditioning in this moment are designed to work towards, to spend my time on, to spend my energy, my thinking on. I may train myself to chant and not think about money. And yet, if that's what destiny entails for me to be my biggest topic of my reality, I'll find myself dreaming about it. And I'll sneak out within mantras to think about how much money someone else has or how much money can I have. And so don't take anybody's word for where it is to be found and where it is not to be found. And it is the object of seeking here. Walk your own path. There's nothing else to do but to just follow our destiny, to follow what's designed in our system, to be as me as this biological robot is programmed to be like. Including the resistance to surrender to the programming, including the efforts to try and change the programming. That is all part of the programming. So what we are really looking for is not to be found in programming. It sure is a better experience to be a system that's a good person according to the benchmarks of today's society or the society that I live in. But if I am designed to be with qualities that are not appreciated in today's society, then the consequences would be less pleasurable than the opposite, maybe. And for sure, it might be worth it to try and become a good person if I am destined to try, if that feels appealing in my system. And yet, we can try, and we may even be able to achieve whatever being a good person means, authentically even. And yet, it is not to be found in programming. It is not to be found in the ability to be a perfect person inside and out. It is not to be found in self-improvement. In this moment, if we're not doing anything with our bodies, or not writing something or cooking, or not actively participating in an activity, if we're just sitting um, listening to these words, I want to propose an experiment. If we are able to receive these words that were just shared, everywhere that what I'm really looking for, everywhere where it's not to be found, let's just drop all of that for this moment. That doesn't mean I quit my job, although it may mean that, but not generally. In this moment, that's not what it means. Let's just drop the quest for a better life, for a more loving relationship, for more respect, for more compassion within myself, for more good qualities that I believe need to happen for me. Let's just drop everything that we believe to be right or to be wrong, that we believe ourselves to be, or that we believe what we want to become, just for this moment. And we can allow all of that stuff to just be here. It doesn't have to be forgotten or rejected. It can just be here if it is. But dropping it really means that for just this moment, let's be curious if all of that is as true or real as it is taken to be in our daily lives. So just for this moment, let's just be open to be wrong about our deep-rooted rights and wrongs and beliefs. Let's just drop any thoughts that are arising. Let them arise. They can keep appearing, playing out, auditioning for our attention and involvement. That can still happen, that can keep happening. That doesn't have to stop for them, for the thoughts to be dropped. Any feelings or emotions may arise. Boredom may arise. Frustration may arise. Even peace may arise. A relaxation, a sigh of relief may arise. Anything that we believe to be good or not good, anything in that whole spectrum can arise. And yet, our habitual tendency to label it and to identify with it as, if it's considered good, then it should be here longer. And if it is considered not good, then, oh, why did it arise? It has to be manipulated or fixed or forgotten or let go of. So that involvement, identification with what is arising in this moment, within and without, what we call me, what I call me, can be dropped. And let's just look at this me. What is this me? What is Gurleen that seems to be so sure of who she is, who she wants to be, what her life looks like, what happened to her in the past experiences, who treated her well, who didn't treat her well, who she treated well and didn't treat well, and all the consequent memories and trauma or emotions that have remained in the system from that. Who is she? Really, what is the material or fabric, or where does she exist within all of this? I can look at this body and say, oh, this is Gurleen. Look in the mirror. Well, right now, looking on the screen, a face is showing with certain features and hair, and but is that Gurleen? Because this body will be dropped by something, and nobody will call this body Gurleen anymore. It'll just be a dead body. So something is living through this body, which has been labeled as Gurleen, which is looking out from these eyes right now, speaking out from this throat, the vocal cords right now, apparently. And there's something actually which is not a thing, but again, don't take my word for it. But this that is living through this body, that is alive and seems to have made this functional unit functional and alive. All the senses have been activated in this body mind organism till the time this is plugged in. And this has innocently taken on the so-called thought construct, the identity of Gurleen, or whatever name that it may identify with. It has taken on very innocently, effortlessly, without any pleasure or pain associated with that identification. It has just innocently morphed into the form of a personal identity, who's a good person or not a good person, who's mature or not mature, or who likes sweet food and not spicy food. All of those characteristics or the programming, which is a result of the genes, the biological blueprint of the DNA through the ancestral lineage that this body is made of, and the content within the body, pains and aches and ailments, have come with the blueprint. It might be activated, it might not be activated, and it all is programmed according to what conditioning, what environment, what circumstances are designed to be experienced by this body-mind organism, and how they are designed to be interpreted or to land within the body-mind organism or by this identity. This personal identity, this me, can I really look for myself? Can I find myself? This double bind, this mind fuck arises just because of the duality of language How do eyes look at themselves? How does a knife cut itself? It can cut everything if it's sharp enough for any object to be cut through. Can it cut itself? Can water quench its own thirst? Can fire burn itself? It burns everything that it's not. But can it burn itself? I hope we're able to experientially able to say no to those questions. Because the fire is the subject. And in those questions, in that quest of trying to burn itself, it has taken on to be the object also. So, how does the subject become an object? Because to find something, it has to be an object other than the subject. That is the very double bind of duality. This whole flow of life, me and the other, cold and hot, good and bad, rich and poor, beautiful and ugly, peace and suffering. This manifestation is designed to appear as pair of opposites. And the minds, our perception is designed to perceive duality. And with the same innocence that everything else is perceived, that same dual perception has taken on the quest of finding the finder, or finding the source of all of this, or finding God, the one that created me, the one that created everything. Not realizing that the one looking is already what is being looked for. So, how do I turn my eyes towards myself and say, oh, look at me, that's me? Sometimes when it lands, it's a joke, it's a very cruel joke. And it is in the seeing of the futility of the seeking itself that the seeking may end. And because we're using language, we end up finding ourselves. Not that that can ever happen, because I am myself. I am within which this personal identity has appeared. It is so delicately and complexly designed. And I, as this, is unbiased, is there is no concept of other here. And it innocently, effortlessly, it's not even an event, it's just how a seed grows into a sapling, and a sapling grows into a tree, and the tree bears fruit, and the fruit comes with the seeds again. So from one seed, thousands of seeds emerge. There is no resistance in identification. Identification is proposed as the problem or as the cause of suffering in many frameworks. And that is so. That is so. From the seeker's point of view, who is still identified with the flow of life and still not clear, the clarity hasn't appeared in the flow of life, in the seeking journey, to really see what am I looking for and why am I looking for it? Can I help and not look for it or not feel called to think about it or take action on it? And yet, if identification could be dropped, it is clearly seen not from outward in, not as the seeker finding God, but as the perceiving itself. It is clearly perceived that there is no problem with identification. There is no suffering. There is nothing to seek. There is no one to be the seeker. This me is like a poof in the air. A block of air, for the lack of a better word. It's inhaled and an exhale happens. Where did that air go? That's how one, not two, this whole shenanigan is. That which is aliveness itself is the self that the seeker is on a quest to realize. And it is only in the dissolution of the seeker or the seeking that that from which the seeking arose, within which the seeking arose, can unveil as what has always been, what already is, and what always will be timelessly. Now, what do you want to call it? Call it big I, call it consciousness, call it awareness, call it formlessness, call it I am. Call it God. It is not to be found out there. because there is no finding necessary. And yet, seeking is what might be in the content of experience. And in this moment, as we sit together, there might be a moment where the seeking can be dropped without feeling the sense of achievement by that is received at the end of every seeking quest. I want good grades, and until I get good grades, that quest will go on. So how does the seeking drop without really finding what the seeking is about? And this is why the quest of self-realization is such a beautiful joke. It's not in seeking that it is to be found. It is in the end of seeking, seeking falling away, that it always is recognized to have been. So the seeking was just a thought construct within that which is been sought after. And as this lands as the very ground of existence of me, the person, this body, mind, organism, this product of genes and up-to-date conditioning, then we can practically, then I can, as Gurleen, ask myself, well, now that it seems like what an awakening was labeled to be, if that has landed experientially in the system, why does it matter? What am I really looking for? The grounding in the awakening that already is, that is exactly and already what you are, is another label for peace of mind and daily living. Continuous and unbroken peace of mind in daily living. So then we may ask, why use different words? Because for awakening to have happened may not be the end of it. There is a whole seemingly gradual integration process that goes on where the personal thought construct, the person, the me, surrenders more and more to the grounding of what its source is. And that gradual process inevitably wipes out this belief in the sense of personal doership and attachment to outcome in daily living, in our way to relate with ourselves, our way to relate with others, with life, with God. So the arising of doership, which looks like an arising of guilt or shame for any outcomes or consequences that resulted in pain for me or the other. The arising of blame and hatred or resentment towards the other, and that other could be a person, an object, a circumstance, anything in life, an event in life. So that blame and resentment doesn't have to arise anymore. The arising of pride or arrogance towards the good outcomes that have delivered pleasure to me or the other doesn't make sense, and gradually would stop arising, can stop arising. And the attachment to outcomes has to fade away in that integration process also, because it is clearly seeing what we started with. My completeness, my happiness is not to be found in the flow of life, is not to be found in the content of experience, is not to be found in how I am personally. What my completeness lies in is already that ground of awakening, that ground of existence that is penetrating the life experience more and more. So the worry and anxiety about how it's going to be in future, the arising of expectations from myself or the other or life of how it should be or shouldn't be, an attachment to outcome, a reaction of having lost something existentially if something in life doesn't go our way. All those arisings and thinking patterns and beliefs or despair that comes with those arisings doesn't have to arise anymore, because it is clearly experientially known that what I really am, is already complete. So looking for completeness already is arising from a misunderstanding that I'm not complete already. And something out there will fill that incomplete self and complete me. And we keep on running in that loop. Like a lab rat. And maybe that's where the word rat race comes from. It is our good fortune, again, designed as our destiny, to recognize within ourselves, even through our seeking journey, not just in our life out there, in our professional lives and personal lives and everything that we do out there in life, but even as this earnest, dedicated seeker, it would be our good fortune to be able to see that even the spiritual search is a rat race. God already is here. Where would I go to find him, her, it, that? And if that is all there is, then the whole spectrum, the whole shenanigan of me and the other, the whole storyline of the good and the bad that's going on in this life, is that. So what is there not to surrender to? There is nothing else but that. So there is no one separate from that, surrendering to that. It is just that I am. So even the idea of surrender doesn't make sense anymore. Who will surrender to whom? There is no need to race to anywhere. There's nothing to lose, there's nothing to win. So it is so innocently what it is that there is no need to fight the race even. And there is no point in judging the race or judging ourselves that we are still stuck in the race. There is no race. All there is this, within which this beautiful, magnificent, grand manifestation is playing out. Nothing to fear, nothing to hate, including the fear and the hate. And yet, it would be completely normal if they all were to just fall away. And it would be completely normal if they still are here. Let's open it up. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, comments, anything to share with the space that is your presence, please feel free to raise your electronic hand on Zoom. You can just click on React at the bottom and raise your hand, and I will unmute you.
Hello, Guli. Can you hear me?
Yes. How are you, Shiv?
I'm good. How are you? You seem very fiery today. I'm a bit scared.
Can fire burn itself? Seems like
Oh,
it is.
um, like, uh, like I've been on this project of uh, the me, finding the me that is said to be the doer. You say, that the core issue is in this idea of doership. And when I sit with my eyes closed and I notice thoughts come and go, feelings come and go, but the one creating a thought, the one creating a feeling, or the one doing it, the one who thinks or feels or desires or hates, all of that, that doesn't seem to be there. And but this is when my eyes are closed. When my eyes open, something happens, and I'm just something happens that's objects seem to be there, and touch and sight mostly. That's where it is. Like you were talking about your face on the screen, that outline it persists, it seems to move, and it seems to cohere as an object. This touch below me, there's the floor. It doesn't appear and disappear like my thoughts, feelings, and
Yeah.
so that I'm guessing now, I'm not sure. It seems like that gives me the idea that there are objects, there is something, there is I'm not sure, but something to do with that. Why is it that when my eyes open, something happens? Is it just lack of vigilance? Something happens, something, I don't know what. I wanted to ask you that.
Well, first of all, I just want to congratulate you because it is happening for you, at least in closed eyes. If the form is experientially dissolving, and if it can be experientially confirmed in what we call closed eye, the blackness, the boundarylessness, or the grayness, however it appears, and every sensation, whether it's sound or smell or touch, is just that grayness or that itself. There is no way of confirming in a closed eye sitting that what is being seen as, well, with open eye, I would see it's my leg on the couch, and it's the sense of the cloth, the fabric on my leg, and then also the pressure of the couch against my leg. But in closed eye, there is no way to confirm that. It disappears. And that is the formlessness within which different, you can call it, for a lack of a better word, but frequencies, which when we open our eyes is seen as speaking or listening or touching or hunger or thirst or whatnot. But in closed eye, and we're using closed eye and open eye just based on your experience, and feel free to correct anything that is not an experience yet. And with closed eye, it is seen that all of that is just a flavor of itself. There's no separation between what we would call touch or sound or hunger or thirst. It's just a flavor of that grayness or blackness or whatever boundarylessness that is being that is there. There are two
Can
things.
I just,
Yeah, go for it.
yeah, boundarylessness, that I don't know about, but
Mhm.
what is it that I'm trying to get? It's like it just appears and disappears.
Mhm.
So,
Within what does it appear and disappear?
you mean that when I close my eyes, there's darkness, so it appears, disappears there. That's what you mean.
No, the arisings.
Boundless, I'm not. Yeah, it dissolves into. Well, I just see a space of darkness. There's some light now, and so it's like dull red. And this voice that said that somewhere in it, it appeared, disappeared. And likewise, I don't know in what, but it just appears and disappears.
What appears and disappears?
All of these, like the voice, your voice,
Mhm.
thoughts, memories, and images, and some sort of reels play out, short movies. All of
And,
these appear and disappear.
and what is it within which it is appearing and disappearing? Can that be confirmed?
Maybe this visual that I'm like with my eyes shut, there seems to be darkness in that, I guess. That space, I guess. I can't, it's not guess actually, but I don't know. I can't say it's within that, but there seems to be an overlapping. That darkness is there, and somewhere within this only these things are appearing and disappearing. Like I can say, when I have right now, I can imagine your face, and I can say it's in front of where I feel the sensation of my eyelids. So I can say I feel the sensation of my eyelids. I see this visual, and both, and I just see this visual of darkness also. I'm not sure. uh,
And who is it that is seeing all of that? Is that seeing somewhere from outside of that darkness, or it is within? Well, we're using the word darkness. That might not be the appropriate label, but we'll go with it. Who's registering all this?
your voice broke off in between. Okay.
Who
Who's
is
registering?
registering the darkness and everything that is appearing and disappearing in the darkness?
Yeah, it's me.
What is that me? What do you mean by me?
Like if I were to use a label, I could use the label of the witness, but that really doesn't say much. And in a way, this me, as you say, that the knife can't cut itself, this eye doesn't have a quality which it can experience because perhaps it is itself. Like I can't say much about it, but because it is me, maybe. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
It is when this kind of exploration or imploration may happen in a moment while you're sitting, or even in this moment when this question was introduced. It sometimes is useful if we remember, if it is remembered, that let's just forget all the concepts. In this place, we don't need to remember anything that has ever been said or that we have read or that we think is true or not. All of that has to be dropped, or, well, not that we can or cannot drop it. Um, but if all those concepts are dropped for a true experiential, and experiential to me, well, experiential means from experience, but experiential also in an experimental way. We can only go in if we don't already know what we want to find. We go in with this preconceived notion of what I want to find in there. It's very subtle, and yet it's there. And that is why we still stick to these answers and concepts, because something is not prepared to completely be lost in this.
I see what you're saying. That I need to be unbiased, like not to reconfirm what I once saw before and just fresh.
Just in this
And
moment, what is it?
yeah.
And
Can you say ask the question again? Like I'll try it again.
you don't need the question.
Okay.
What perceives the space? Is it something outside of that space perceiving the space?
It seems to be behind the eyes, what is perceiving it. But even that is perceiving. I want to say I don't know what's perceiving the space, but it is me who is perceiving the space. No? To say I don't know, and I am perceiving the space. Yeah, I am perceiving the space.
Are you
That is true.
outside that space? Or are you within that space? Or are you that space itself? I'm just, I just leaked the paper and given you the answer sheet. So
I still didn't get the answer though.
that's amazing because that would have been secondhand information. So the question really is not about that when the eyes open, it disappears. It has so beautifully opened up for a few moments or few minutes or hours, whatever we want to call it. But in that recognition of the space, there is no time. There is no concept of 1 minute or 1 second or 1 hour. And is it possible to just rejoice in that opening? And it is okay to not have that experience with open eyes for now.
Works. It's pretty good so far as it is.
And there was no guarantee of this opening to have happened. And it still has. That's already God's grace. That's already the grace of life, and it's already our good fortune. What more can I ask for? So let's just rejoice in this closed eye whenever you feel like, whenever it happens for you, and just hang out in it a little more before we ask for a different variety of it.
Okay.
Yeah, let's deepen our relationship with ourselves in here. Who am I in this space? If there's no touch and no body and no sensations to be labeled as separate, then who is this I that is made of all of this? But then when all of that is not what it has always been taken to be, then what is the substance of the I?
I just suddenly didn't get what I missed what. So all the thoughts, emotions, etc. are not it. So what is I you're asking or you're
So if they
suggesting?
really dissolve within this spaceless
Yeah.
space, then what is this, the substance of this I? And it might be a very worthwhile experiment to follow if you feel like it, if a calling happens.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for asking, and you're very welcome. Ranko.
Hi, Gurleen.
Hey, Ranko. How's it going?
Very well, thank you. How is with you? How you are?
Can't complain. Nothing to complain about.
Yeah, very interesting. When you started satsang, you asked why we are seeking in a practical level. So first thing that came to my mind is this feeling of incompleteness. Somehow I feel incomplete. That was my starting point, maybe 20, 30 years ago, when I started to realize that seeking is going on. Also, let's say, spiritual level. And there is one part of us which has an instantaneous answer to that question. And that part is saying, oh, you need some sort of pleasure in the future. And this framework is saying that part is called thinking mind, our thinking mind. So this thinking mind has instantaneous solution, but it doesn't understand that actually he's a troublemaker. He's making a trouble. So that's a paradox.
Yes.
Troublemaker is trying to find a solution.
Yep. It's
Or
the
claim
it's the
that he has
thief.
a solution.
It's the thief dressed as policeman trying to find the thief.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that's a paradox, actually. That's
Yeah.
a real paradox.
Yes.
And very, very funny. And so we can ask a question why this feeling of incompleteness that really doesn't exist. And the answer is because that one who is asking the question, who is making this feeling, is actually doesn't exist.
Or is arising out of that incompleteness already.
Yeah,
If the incompleteness, or we can label it suffering, if that were to fall away and if that were absent, this question wouldn't arise.
yeah.
That's
Because
why
there
it
are,
is, yeah, that's why it's futile to answer it. Whatever answer we may come up for it, it won't satisfy because the questioner itself is coming out of suffering, arising out of that incompleteness.
yeah, it seems that they are perpetuating each other. So this feeling of incompleteness will perpetuate the sense of self, which is thinking mind, and thinking mind will then think, process of thinking will go on. And so what is the turning point there? What is the mirror where we see, oh, this guy is not really there?
Yeah. Only if it's destined, or
Yeah.
we can call grace.
Yes.
That's very insightful, and thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. For me, I feel a lot these days that suffering is very evident, in any kind of form, subtle form, gross form, but it has a flavor, specific flavor. And that is really a grace, really to be able to see it, that flavor, and taste it. And then becomes evident, oh, this guy is still there.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Renko. It's a pleasure always. I did want to mention that we had to stop our YouTube live stream in the middle of it, just because I think the internet wasn't strong enough to take both the Zoom and the YouTube live streaming. So if you go on YouTube, this part of the satsang won't be there. So we will work on uploading the whole satsang in a day or two, and then you can access that from YouTube videos. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for holding the space. I love you all. Thank you. See you next Sunday.